Good morning, it's Joshua Taylor. This is video 195, and I think I need a trim and a shave here. It gets to a certain point, then I just trim it right down. Anyway, what the Lord's put on my heart this morning concerns a prophecy that was given many years ago, and it talks about that the falling away, the great falling away, will happen in the time of the fall, and that winter will be so severe that no one could remember in recent history. And this has to do, pertains to Canada. And if we get a bad winter here, you're going to get a bad winter south of the border too. But in my own opinion, I think we're fast approaching this season that the fall of 2020 we could see this great falling away. We know that they can't hold down, they can't enforce lockdown forever without some kind of civil revolt. And maybe around Independence Day it would be lifted, right? And so, I'm preparing here as best as I can, try to get this place winterized, building a shed shelter system, and out of it, you basically have a do-it-yourself shed shelter that can be turned into a like an end-time shelter, into a small little cabin that you could build. It has all the potential for that, into a bug-out cabin, right? What good is having a bug-out bag if you don't have a bug-out cabin? And I tell you, a tent's not going to go all that far in the days ahead. It's very temporary. But if people had a means to build these shed shelter units, you would go a long ways and provide the tools needed for the remnant, for the righteous, to flee the cities. And I think we're coming to that. And for those of you that are in the know, you're already aware of the live ID that's coming, right, in October. So all this is being orchestrated to enforce, the vaccines are going to be orchestrated to enforce the preliminary mark of the beast. It talks about people will be forced to take the mark on the right hand or forehead. So this could be a preliminary step. You don't want to do it. So when this lockdown is lifted, it will come down again. And those believers who are still in the cities, your pastors are going to tell you to go to the FEMA camps, that it's okay. So this fall, you may well see the beginning of persecution, the beginning of where Christians are going to be rounded up and put into the FEMA camps, and the beginning of another holocaust, right? And that's why I'm pushing on these camps. I've been doing this for 30 years, designed many systems, but this shed shelter system is the most simplest and basic that most of you can follow. I don't know if I have the time to replicate a second prototype. I can at least show you the steps of how to replicate the trusses, and that's basically all you really need to know. So next time around, I'll rebuild it out of, professionally out of 2x6, and so you can actually see everything that goes on. You can set up your nail tables and you can start mass producing, right? And that's basically what it is, mass producing the trusses. You cut your purlins for either 16 or 24-inch centers or 32-inch centers if you're setting up a shop. You drop in your floor system and you close up the ends. You insulate everything, and you got a bug out shelter, right? And but we really need to think seriously. In the time remaining between now and the 4th of July, I need to at least get this 12 by 12 porch done. I need to put a post and beam system around the trailer and get a temporary cover over the porch and the trailer, so it shouldn't take long once I have my nail table made. And I still have, already picked up a Bostage nailer, and just need to get the compressor, and it won't take long at all to make the components and to get it up. But I would like you intercessors out there to press in on my behalf. For the last 2 times that I tried to go south of the border, the last time over 5 years ago, I was turned away because I could not prove my residence. Now that I have a residence, maybe it's time that the Father's going to open up the door to go south. There has been visions and prophecy concerning the Lord calling me down south to begin building these places of refuge, and the starting point will be in the Carolinas, and this is what needs to come together first. There'll be a main refuge that will be built in the Carolinas. The property has not been revealed yet, and so this would be the main purpose for going down. So I'd like you intercessors to pray in on this. And so I need a consensus, right? I need a consensus. I've been waiting on the Lord all these years. I know at this point in time where before this end time revival is going to break out around the world, there will be a major earthquake on the west coast that's going to shake 13 states, and it's going to be felt all the way down to the province of Alberta. So it's going to be a big shaker. This is not the earthquake that the Lord showed me in the second open visions. The one that He showed me brought total destruction. And Nimrud's inbound, and if we see it this year, then by this time next year, Vancouver could well be in the ocean, along with LA, San Francisco, the entire west coast of North America. I'm not saying that it's going to be, but what Gil Bassard was saying, if we see Nimrud this year as a new star, where it starts to get bigger and bigger, that it'd be here by the end of March in 2021. And that's about the season where I was walking in these 7 open visions. So there's a lot to do, right? A lot to do. So I'm just going to leave it here. This is episode 195, concerning the possibility of a great falling away this coming fall, and that we need to do what we can right now. Right now, if you got the finances, and talking to you businessmen out there, I'm giving you a word of the Lord right now. You need to set aside the material to build these cabins. Buy, purchase lists of 2x6, of 3/8 fir plywood if you can get it, your nails and screws, whatever, the equipment, and the covers for them. Have your covers pre-made in advance, right? Because our time is limited. So when this lockdown is lifted, there's going to be a short reprieve, and this is the time that we're going to have to go full bore in to unfurl the plans of the Father to begin to prepare in the natural to get out of the cities. And if you don't, you'll be trapped in the cities, and you will go into captivity or become a martyr, right? But God has promised that He would preserve the bride. The bride would be taken into the wilderness to be fed by the manchild, right? For 3.5 years. This would be the first half of the tribulation period. So we're coming close to that time. And we know that America is going through her preliminary judgments, and it will be followed by invasion by Chinese and Russian troops will occupy America for 7 years. Chuck Youngbrandt seen this, but what he also saw is that when they came in, the people were somewhat liberated from the beast kingdom, right? And the beast kingdom is rolling in now. This is Joshua Taylor coming to you from here in Boston Bar, British Columbia, Canada.